In this week's Stolen Time, I continue with the series on the baby's one and. So the baby's one and. The topic of food is annoying, confusing, and my signature, stressful. Because it's just like, it annoys me so much. It's like, apparently, when the baby turns one, you transition from the breast or formula being the primary nutrition to food. But in the literature, or some of the literature that I've been exposed to, it seems very like, by one, this is what should be happening. So, and yet right before one, the literature is, the food is really just for the baby to get their palate interested. The primary nutrition is really formula or breast milk. So then all of a sudden there's like transition happens at one, and I know that what we're supposed to interpret is around one and like give it time or whatever. But see, my breathing is even like stressed about this. Like, but anyways, that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a slow transition, but it's very annoying that that's how it's keyed. Although the pediatrician said like, don't worry about it. Like, he was very cool about it, and I'm really happy about that. So basically, the boob milk or formula just does not nourish the baby enough anymore. So you have to switch to food. And I know I talked before about how eating is like super exciting. I don't feel that way right now because, okay, so this is how I eat. I can easily skip meals. I can eat a lot or not, or like if I don't really feel like cooking, I'll just have like some nuts. Like, that's how I am. Is that the kind of habit and exposure that I want to give to this baby? No. So like, for example, we spent a week or more at my mom's house, and my mom is like, food. She worked for the World Food Program. So food for 30 years. So, and the food is amazing and delicious, and there's tons of it, and there's like millions of options. So while we were there, it was like a fucking feast. The baby was like being offered fruits and vegetables this way and fruits that. I mean, anything you could possibly imagine. A variation of pancake happened during that week. A variation of soup happened. A variation of chicken. I mean, it was just so wonderful. And yet I feel so far from that being what I offer the baby. Like, basically, almost every day I'm like a version of eggs. I'm like, there's my eggs. Today they're scrambled. Tomorrow they're boiled. Today's an omelet. And then I so not only is it just like, I'm not that, even though I love to cook, I'm not like cooking all the time. That's just not, I don't know why I'm not like I maybe used to be, or I never was, or I'm just not like a meal person necessarily. I'm more of a snacker. So I feel like I have to change that about me in some way, because I don't really like the idea of feeding the baby just by himself. I like that he's like seeing this like family time at the table. The father is not into like family. He didn't grow up with eating at the table. So like, if anything, I'm the one who's gonna make this ship not sink. So it feels like this annoying, like, so instead of being exciting, it feels stressful. And then on top of it, and this is really like something that I didn't realize about before, it's like, obviously the formula breast milk is easy, I think, compared to this. And this is like a responsibility that I don't want. I don't want to be in charge of what you eat, baby. Like, can you just take care of, not cook for yourself, but like, can you just take care of this? Like, do I have to be in charge of this? I don't want the responsibility, because I don't even like the responsibility for me sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, oh, nuts. So now, like, to be responsible for this nourishment feels very stressful. That said, there's a whole philosophy, which is totally where I'm going towards, by the way. I just have to get into the mindset of that, of trusting, trusting that the baby, I'm kidding, I should, has an innate wisdom to know what they need, to just trust that they actually are responsible for what they eat and are responsible for their appetites. And I fucking adore that philosophy, not only because of the respect element towards the baby as just another human being who's just smaller and maybe needs a little help, but also because it frees me up. So I will explore that, and I'll delve into it, and I'll report back maybe, and that's that. So thank you for listening to that and watching. And this week I have a rave, and it's about bone broth. So I've made a lot of bone broth, but recently I've discovered a great recipe that, in fact, I'll share a link to it because it says like how you've probably been doing bone broth wrong. And ever since I've followed this recipe, the bone broth not only tastes delicious, but, and this is something that I'm going to get into, apparently it's a fantastic nutrition for the baby. So win-win, because I love bone broth. Maybe he'll like it too. Fingers crossed. So that's my rave. And it's just like, so like I'll just drink it in a cup, in a mug at night. I mean, it's so good. And it's so easy to make. And it's better than what I've bought, not at home. So I highly recommend. And it's not expensive. So thank you for letting me steal your time. Hit the bell icon to get notified when I release new episodes, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much.